In this time at Fan Expo pre-show for the media. Like I always say, you never know who's going to pop up on the podcast, and I have a reoccurring guest with me. You see me in an interview with him before at my anime convention. Make sure you go follow that. If you're a fan of Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball, Full Metal Alchemist, Fire Force, Assassination Classroom. This man has voiced someone new. Yeah, One Piece. Can't forget about Usopp. He said he had to make sure I had to throw that in there with that one. And if you're like me and grew up in that golden era of anime and you love Toonami, this man was the original Toonami Tom. I'm with.
That's right, I was. How you doing, guys?
I'm doing great. How has your day been so far?
Pretty nonstop. I got this morning on an airplane, and then I got on another airplane, and then got to the hotel, and then came right to this press junket. So I managed to sneak in a burger from the bar.
Wow, you have had a very eventful day so far.
Hit the ground running.
Yes, you have, and everybody just loves the roles you've done, especially in Dragon Ball. Being in between Bardock and Krillin, what was it like playing both of those characters? Because they have two different personalities. They're on both opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, they're way different personalities. But you know, it's just like I've been acting since I was 14 years old in 1979. And every character has its own demands, you know, you just have to find it. Acting is mostly empathy, and for me anyway. So you just have to find empathy for that character. And you just have to say, how would I behave if I was in his situation, you know?
Yes, that is true. And with that, you had characters where you have very longevity and tenure with, especially with Krillin. You watched him from a boy to a man and even a father. When you have that level of involvement and you develop that bond and attachment, what is it like seeing his character develop?
It was amazing. I mean, it's amazing that it's gone this long too, because like when I started 27 years ago, I just assumed that anime was a fad and it would be over in like 2 years, you know, and then there'd be another one, like, because at the time we had, you know, when I was a kid, we had Speed Racer, then we had a few years later, we had Battle of the Planets, and then we had G-Force. We had, was Battleship Yazoo. What was the name of that show? It was called something else in America. But regardless, it was like every 5 to 10 years, there'd be a show that kind of hit the American public, you know. But when Dragon Ball Z hit, I think Pokemon had been around for a little bit longer, and they had already hit the ground as this national phenomenon, you know. And then Dragon Ball Z, within a couple of years, we were like the #1 animated show, right? And all of a sudden, we were the #1 animated show in television history. And that was like really weird, because like suddenly it's like, this is way more than just a fad, you know. There's something really going on underneath the current of this. And I remember when I was in college and I studied the Dadaist movement and the Surrealist movement, and I was like, I want to be a part of an artistic movement. And it wasn't until years later that I realized I am part of an artistic movement, probably one of the biggest one the United States has ever seen, and that's the anime movement.
Yes, you are. And anime right now is dominating pop culture. Even another show that has been very popular that you're on, One Piece, has a live adaptation. When you first saw that and heard about it, what was your initial reaction?
When I first saw Usopp, my opinion was, he's too cool to be Usopp. And then he got scared, and I was like, oh, I love the way he's playing this. You know, he's like, he's not cool. He just pretends to be cool. He's really just scared. I wanted to say a dirty word, but blankless. And I fell in love with it. I was like, I just love the way he does it. And then, but there was one scene where he comes running in with his slingshot and he goes, I am the great Captain Usopp. And he uses that voice, and it scared me because I was like, that sounds like me, you know? And then I saw him at a convention, and I told him, he goes, yeah, it was a little tribute to you. And I was like, oh, that's nice, man. Thank you. But then we realized that, you know, a lot of these guys, they grew up watching us. We've been doing, One Piece has been around 17 years, you know, for version.
Which is incredible, the longevity of that show, even with Dragon Ball, even just Assassination Classroom, which I would really love to see that one.
They're making a movie.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, inside information. I love this. Man.
I think they've already announced it, that they're making a movie, but hopefully we'll get to record it.
Yeah, I hope you do too, because what you did on that show was just amazing. But the one I would really love to see a live adaptation is Fire Force, because Joker,
Oh, yeah.
and just how that sounds, it would be amazing.
Yeah, Joker is a treat. That one I just showed up for work. It's one of those. Same with the Koro Sensei from Assassination Classroom. I didn't audition for those. I just showed up. They said I've got a part for you, you know. And Koro Sensei really surprised me because that was the lead of the show, you know. And the director is a guy named Joel McDonald, who's gone on to Gearbox as the famous director there. But at the time, he was working at Funimation. And I showed up. I said, "This isn't one." I thought he was doing One Piece because he had directed One Piece at that time. And he goes, "Oh, no, no, it's a new show." And I said, "Oh, cool. What is it?" And he goes, "It's Assassination Classroom." And I went, "Oh, I heard about that. It's that squid guy." And he goes, "Yeah, yeah." And I said, "What am I playing?" He goes, "You're the squid guy." And I went, "Dude, I didn't even audition for this." He goes, "It's you. Trust me, it's you." And like 3 lines into it, I was like, "I get it. Thank you."
Which role gave you the toughest challenge in your career, just even from a standpoint of where you were in life too, on top of that?
Oh, probably Present Mike from My Hero Academia. He was when I got cast in the role, they asked for an old school radio voice, you know, and so I gave him something like this: "Hey, everybody, it's me, Present Mike," you know, and it's really easy for me to do that voice. I could do it all day. But in season 2, he started screaming in that pinched voice, and it stripped my throat. I got laryngitis. It turned into pneumonia. It was the hardest thing I ever had to do.
Wow, that is amazing.
Usopp, he screams all the time, but it's in a place in my voice that I can handle it for about 3 hours. If I do, I can't do more than 3 hours. And if I do 3 hours, I ask to have at least a day of rest in between.
I know you definitely need your rest and you definitely deserve it too. And for any of the fans out there who might be nervous to meet you because you voice a lot of popular characters, what would you have to say to them?
If they're
If they're nervous.
nervous to me, don't worry. I'm very unapproachable. I'm not likable at all. I will probably tell you to go away when you see me. So actually, I'm a pretty nice guy. I'm very approachable. Please come to my table. Don't be afraid to say hi. I get it. I'm the same way when it comes to comic book artists because I'm a comic book artist as well. And I just have such admiration for cartoonists. And I get so tongue-tied around them. I don't get tongue-tied around like celebrities and stuff, but like I met Leonard Nimoy at a convention and he asked me if I'd do a photo shoot with him. I'm like, yeah, I'm a fan of Star Trek. It's great. And I was just hanging out with Leonard Nimoy and just talking stuff about, he was talking about my career. He says, what does it involve and everything. And it was really cool, but I wasn't nervous talking to him. But you get me around like Walt Simonson or Jack Kirby or somebody like that, I would just, I can't talk. You know, my mouth just dries up.
Yes,
So
it
I
is.
get it. I get it. Don't be afraid. I don't bite.
You guys heard all that. Make sure you come out to Fan Expo this weekend. Make sure you follow him on social media on all platforms. I'm JG Collects, wrapping up Fan Expo media event. And like that, we're out.